Great event, Amsterdam, perfect city.
Move back to the future.
Good morning, everybody, and on behalf of the whole Thingstream team, I have the great pleasure to welcome you to Inflow. And Inflow is something we do for the very first time, but I hope it's going to be the first out of many, many to come. The general idea of this is going to all these different events, be it Barcelona or Embedded World in Nuremberg. We realized that throughout the day there is not enough time to actually discuss with potential customers, with partners, and there is quite a few things where it would be worthwhile to just spend the day, bring everybody into the one room and have enough time to discuss all the different topics, and also not just allow for us to discuss, but allow you to have the discussion as well, interact and get to know each other actually. And that was the basic idea of Inflow. And what we tried to do with this event, this very first event, is to set the stage for kind of a developer partner event where everything comes together. Now, why are we doing this? Looking at the IoT market, and that's a market that I have been working in for some 12 years now. The IoT market, as we know, and you're going to see a few of these graphics from all of different market research companies, and you know the numbers, you know the trends. Huge potential, and whichever number you are looking at, it's just staggering growth and huge potential, billions of dollars. And we have seen these graphs for a few years now. It's not the first time we see these numbers. The graphs some 5 years ago, not quite these numbers, but they were big numbers nevertheless. 2017 was already quite a big business. It's always a question, of course, what is IoT and what do you account for as an IoT business? But it will grow to a $200, $400 billion business. What I think is interesting about this graph particularly is the industrial part is a large one, and we also see, not just from the recent 2 years, but see for 4 years now, that in the industrial IoT, money is actually being invested now, whereas for a long time prior, nothing was really happening. And specifically for the low power market, if you look at the number of devices, again, the staggering numbers we all know, it's going to grow to billions of devices, already outpaced the number of devices that are being used by humans. A CAGR of over 100%, which is unprecedented. I have been working in many different industries. Usually you go with 3, maybe 6, maybe 10% CAGR is already wow. But 100%, that's just unreal actually. And we do see this trend. So over the last 2-3 years, it has been 100% or more. And if it continues to do that, and we all do believe that it will do that, it must, then we are going to see these big numbers. However, it's not all the same. This is from a Bain IoT vendor and IoT customer survey, where they have asked, what's your priority, vendors, and attractiveness to customer in terms of use case, risk, financial investment. And that was the result of this survey that was done last year. And we can see there is a few things like pollution monitoring, smart water, a hot topic that has been discussed, but it's actually not very interesting. There's not much going on. But if you look at the top right corner, where it's both attractive to customers and where vendors see a priority, we see some applications, some use cases that are currently being realized as we speak. Specifically asset tracking, everything tracking, equipment tracking, asset tracking, something that seems to be rather simple maybe if you compare it to predictive maintenance or predictive analytics. This is what is now being implemented. So that is going on. However, going on has a very different meaning. And for many things we do see, it does mean it's POC. It is a proof of concept. Every company is now investing in IoT, but many companies are still in it's not, I wouldn't call it early stage. They have been doing quite a lot of research, quite a lot of work. Many companies have understood the business case of why they should be investing in IoT and how it will transform the business. But when it comes to the actual realization, the actual implementation of the project, they're still trying to figure out what to do. And this is an interesting graph because it actually shows two different surveys. It shows the survey from 2016 as well as 2018. So what we see here, and I'm highlighting this in orange now, is the 2018 result in terms of POCs. So that's companies have been asked, 2018, how many projects did you have? Was it an actual implementation? Was it a POC, or are you still discussing? And we do see the POC part is expected to be the bigger part of everything throughout the next years as well. That's what companies expect. So many things are in POC. However, if we compare this to the 2016 number, and I think that's a telling thing here, there's two things we can see. First, there is a very good message in this, because comparing 16 to actuals of 18, there is more going on in POC. So if we look at this, there is a delta. So actually in 2018, more was happening than what they expected some 2 years ago. But it's POC, it's not actual implementation. The other message, and that's not so good, is comparing the 2016 to the 2018, they have downgraded the expectation when it comes to number of POC. So they have been more optimistic about doing something, not just discussing and doing some ideation, but actually going for a POC. And in 2018, they said, no, probably not. We're not yet ready in 2020. It will take a little bit more time. And the same, unfortunately, is true for the actual implementation. So the expectation, 16 to 18, has again gone down. And that's a trend we see with many of these things. Companies are being excited. They actually want to launch something. They have understood the business case and they want to go for it. And then reality happens and everything slows down and it takes more time for many, many different reasons. And one of the most noted and indicative reasons is IoT is complex. It is not simple, and it's probably an unfair graph. I took that from a white paper from Deutsche Telekom and Ericsson. Out of context, obviously. It's unfair, so let's change that to something that we did. But it is complex. And for many companies, it is, for them, a challenge that they have not dealt with before. They have been doing business for 60 years, 200 years, and they know what they're doing in terms of product, they know their market, but now doing IoT, whether it's bottom line or top line optimization, it's something completely new. They suddenly have to deal with new technologies. Many companies now have, for the first time, interaction with their end users because IoT allows them to do that. There's many, many different things. And just a technical challenge, and this is highlighting the connectivity challenge, is very complex. It's not just a matter of, well, you go to whatever, Vodafone, and you get your connectivity and that's it. It's not as simple as just using a smartphone. You have to think about many things, which radio to use, which antenna to use, which battery to use to actually supply what I want to do to support my use case, which bearer, what are roaming costs, how do I actually send data, which protocol am I going to use, where to store the data, yada, yada, yada. And all of these are difficult questions if you do it for the first time. So in order to help companies do better in POC and go from a POC to an actual implementation, I think what we have to do, everybody in this room, and I invite you to join us on this mission, is to make it simple. Now this sounds easy, and it was a very clever guy who claimed that everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler, which is actually very important. But we know from experience that making things simple is the hardest thing to do. It is very difficult to make something as simple as possible, but not simpler, so that it is easy to use, simple to use, cost is predictable, but it is actually doing whatever I want, and I can tell it to do what I want it to do. And it's not easy, but this should be our mission. And that's what we try to do, right? Simple IoT, well, let's make it simple. It's that easy. Just simplify the graph, done. And unfortunately, that's not the case, as we know very, very well from experience. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of understanding in all of these different boxes. Devices in itself is a huge challenge. Connectivity in itself, and that's what we do with Thingstream, is a huge challenge. Connecting this to the enterprise and into all the different systems, huge challenge. And then, of course, what do I do with this data? How to analyze it, how to actually report on the data, business intelligence, huge challenge. With Thingstream, I think we do quite a good job in the connectivity part of this. We try, and that's our mission as Thingstream, to simplify the connectivity part as much as possible. It is our mission to provide a service that makes it as simple as possible to get the data from the device to the enterprise. And everything in between, all these questions around bearer, network access, network protocol, data transformation, data sanity checks, all of that should be of no question and no problem to our customers. So we do provide a connectivity as a service. And if you're not familiar, and I think most of you in this room are familiar, we also take pride in being able to do that everywhere. It does work everywhere. Now, I know there's a lot of engineers in the room, so I have to be very precise. It's almost everywhere. There is a few gray dots on this country map where it is impossible to get access for many different, mostly government and legal reasons. But wherever possible, and it is over 190 countries and over 614 networks, we do provide coverage. And taking this message of let's try to make it simple is also the theme for today. We would like to walk you through how do I get from the device to connectivity to the actual enterprise integration, and what do I do with the data. To make it simple, and we have structured the day, and you'll find the agenda on your table as well, exactly like so. So after this first introduction, Mark will give you a little bit more information on housekeeping. And then we have a first session on wrestling radio, which is on the device part, obviously. Then we do a quick coffee break at around 11. Afterwards, we're going to talk about optimizing applications for IoT. Then we have a lunch break, I believe, in the same room where we had welcome coffees as well. In the afternoon, we're going to look at the power of MQTT, and in particular, what you can do with flows. And then, as the last session of the day, we're looking at what is actually being done with this beyond dashboards. So that's how we want to structure the day, to bring it all together, to have a clear view end to end, and obviously throughout the day have enough time for you to chat as well. Now, organizing such an event in such a beautiful location would not be possible without great support, and we're very happy we got that. So thank you very much to our partners and sponsors who help us make this event happen. In particular, thank you very much to EBV, to Software AG, to Bosch, to Saft, and to IBM. And these partners, you can find them in all the different booths. So we have EBV down there to your left. We have Saft, we have Bosch, we have IBM, and we have Software AG. And they have a few things to show you. So if you're interested to talk to these companies, please find them at their booth. And also thank you very much to our guest speakers, specifically Diego from Verso Design, who's going to talk to us later today, and Mark Dunnett, who will talk about embedded. What was it? Well, I'm not going to take the surprise from you. Mark will tell you all about it. And of course, we have the team here on the ground as well to help you with all of that. So we have Lee from Thingstream, who will be doing this slide.com thing, but Lee has also a cool presentation with a Raspberry Pi who can show you what is actually quite simply being set up using Thingstream flows here to the right. We have Nick Hayes. Where is Nick? there. So if throughout the day you have any question on Thingstream or anything on flows, Nick is your man. Of course, we have Bruce Jackson, our CTO. So if you have any question which neither Lee nor Nick could answer, then Bruce should know the answer. And we also have, of course, our marketing and sales team with our Chief Business Development Officer, Neil, hiding there in the background. Very good. And we have Alex. Where's Alex? There he is. And with that, I do hope you will enjoy the program. I invite you to be not just sitting there, but we want this to be as interactive as possible and for you to give you a platform where you can ask as many questions as possible. We try to answer these questions throughout the day. If it is possible, if you have the time, if you don't have the time, then maybe in the breaks. If not, we'll also recording the questions so you send us in and we'll then answer your questions as we go. So we would like you to enjoy the day, to learn as much as possible. I would invite you to connect and to socialize and exchange your own challenges and exchange your own ideas on how this could be done. And obviously, I would like you to have some fun today. Thank you very much.